It's the October 7th meeting of the ISWM Building Committee. Do a quick roll call attendance. Greg?
Yep.
Tom?
Yes.
Ken?
Present.
Nolan?
Here.
Catherine is not here. I am here. And Peter. Let's see Peter out there. All right. Pomeroy Associates, thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. And you guys have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Richard Pomeroy. I'm the managing member of Pomeroy Associates, and we thank you very much for giving us this opportunity today to interview in front of you. We love interviews. We like to get the makeup of our clients, and you to get the understand the makeup of us. So I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Taylor McDonald. He's going to lead us through this, and we're all going to have a little bit of a role to play. Chris is feeling a little slighted over there because he's operating the slides, but I'm sure he'll speak up. So,
yeah, thank you very much for having us. Looking forward to this. My name is Taylor McDonald. I'm a partner with Pomeroy Associates. I've been with Pomeroy for 17 plus years now. So we wanted to give you a quick overview of the company. We're not going to get into too much of that. It's really all in our proposal, but give you a quick rundown of who you're going to see on your project. I think first and foremost, who you're going to see on the project is in this room right now. We're not going to take on the project and pass it on to other people that you haven't seen. The people that are interviewing will actually be on your project. Rick and I take a personal role in every single one of our projects. So to start the project off, you'll probably see a lot of Rick and myself to get the project going with support staff from the rest of the people that are here today. So I'll introduce everybody, and they're going to say a little bit about themselves, and we'll kind of give you some flavor for how we work and how each person is going to work on this project. So again, Rick will be the director, I guess we'll call it, and principal. I'll be a senior project manager on this project. Next up, Alex Murphy, to my left.
Hi, I'm Alex Murphy. I've been with Pomeroy Associates for 3 years. Prior to Pomeroy Associates, I was in 10 years in higher education, facilities management, and capital projects. So I'm not building ball fields anymore, but I've really enjoyed the municipal work and working with these guys. I could see myself being integrated into really any part of this project through design and construction. The project I'm working on right now is Swansea Public Library. We're in the closeout phase of that project, so I'll be coming off of that project, and kind of I feel like this would fit into the mold of where I'm in my sequence. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
To my right is Neil Provost.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for having us. I have an exclusive background in the construction industry. Had probably 30 plus years in the business, mostly commercial work, fire stations, police stations, town halls. I'm currently working with Alex closing out the Swansea Library. I would be the guy out in the field with the bullseye on your back, going over everything, making sure everything is run properly as we come on the site and so forth. I love this company. I've been with them for 10 years now. They treat me very well. And I really enjoy being the professionalism with these people. I appreciate it very much.
And Christopher George, who's over there driving our presentation now. I don't know if you need to come to a mic, Chris, because you're on Zoom, but just give a little bit. He's our newest member of our team. So
this one.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris George. I'm new to this company. I've been here, I think, 30 days, 1 month. So I've worked with this Pomeroy in the past. For the last 3.5 years, they've worked with me. I was in facilities management for public schools for the last 11 years. So I know the municipal side of how things work, finance committees, building committees, and I've done many presentations and handled many of the capital improvement and projects throughout my 11 years with them. Prior to that, I've been in construction for over 30 years. So I have a very good eye of following the construction laws and making sure that the jobs are complete and done to the highest extent that the towns want done.
thank you. So we've been in business for over 20 years now. We take great pride in really the size of our company. I guess you could call us a smaller company, and we like that. It keeps us quick and nimble. We don't go after a large number of coffers in a large coffer of projects in a year to really just fill our books, right? We're all about quality over quantity. So we take on and we actually seek out certain projects that are interesting, that we like. So we've had our eye, working in Bourne on the fire station, we knew some about this project, so we were happy to see it come back around. But we take on just amount of work to keep everybody busy. We like to have a certain amount of projects that are in feasibility study, in design, construction, and closeout. So that overlap keeps working. We don't hire people that work for us just for one project and they're gone. We're looking to hire, full-time, long-term employees. So most of the employees that have been with us have been with us for multiple years now, except obviously Chris. But we're hoping he stays with us as well. So that's a little bit about kind of how we take on projects. We're immediately available for this project, which is great. And I'm going to hand it over to Rick to talk a little bit more.
It's interesting that we're here today. We contemplated submitting on this the first time it was around, but our workload just we couldn't absorb it, and so we decided to pass on it. So as Taylor said, we're really happy to have a second opportunity for this project. And I think that's very important to understand, that we measure our work balance very importantly because we're able to provide to our clients when they need us and even when they don't. And our employees are able to have a nice family balance. So we take our responsibilities very seriously. We like our cash flow. As Taylor said, feasibility studies, design, construction, and closeouts, that big wheel, keeps it moving. So you can't have a lot of projects in construction and none on feasibility and vice versa. So it's a nice big pie chart for us. I'm really excited to be here today, especially with Alex and Neil and Chris, because they're immersed in Swansea Public Library right now. So that's a good example of our project team. I know what our competitors provide is not what we provide. So we've got a three-team member out there. Traditionally, I'm involved with it. I'm sort of stepping back a little bit, and Alex is taking over. She's doing a fantastic job with it. We should be open for business. I think we have a grand opening November 9th. Is that right?
Yep.
So they're doing a great job. But this is a good example of our team approach. If anybody were to, get sick, or just have to, not be available, someone else in our project team is always aware of everything that's going on. We have great overlap, so I can take over for any one of these individuals, and they can pretty much take over for me or Taylor at any given time. So that overlap we feel is very important, especially in these municipal projects.
All set?
Yep. Good.
So next, what we did was we changed up our normal presentation a little bit. Normally, we would probably talk about ourselves a little bit more and different projects we've done, and I think we will too as we hit these. But what we did was we just took that list of questions that was sent out before, and we have a slide on every single one. So I know we only have 15 minutes. We're going to roll through these quickly, but we want to answer all the questions that you sent out pre-interview. So we'll jump right into the first one here. So most similar projects that our firm has completed in the past. We did the Dennis Transfer Station and DPW improvements a few years back. That was a multitude of different things on the site. We have a picture of that we'll show too. But that was adding compactors to the solid waste program there. It was adding a new recycling area, complete paving, conduits, underground conduits throughout to feed the compactors, to feed a new scale gatehouse, as well as a new maintenance building for the town of Dennis as well. So a pretty complex project in terms of what was going on site all at the same time. We had a lot going on there. That was successfully completed. At the same time, right now, we're working on Abington, DPW, and fire. Again, a multi-phase project. And I wanted to hit on the DPW portion of that as well. We're doing a brand new maintenance facility for them, fleet storage, salt shed, and fuel depot in Abington. Funny enough, Sandwich, DPW, and fire were in the study/design phase of that project as well. That's very similar to Abington. with their needs as well, as far as fuel island, salt shed, fleet storage as well. So we're working on that. Chatham Transfer Station and Maintenance Building, West Bridgewater Transfer Station. We just completed, really, it's just a new attendance shed and some new, I guess, sequencing on site there. We did a maintenance facility for South Shore Country Club, and we're working currently the Brewster Captain's Golf Maintenance Buildings for their fleet storage as well. So we do a multitude of projects, but just kind of wanted to hit on really the most similar to your project here.
The next question was, what's your familiarity with the town of Bourne and key objectives and scope of this project? We're fairly familiar with the town of Bourne. We're involved with the fire station project at 171 Clay Pond Road. We've been working on that for a number of years now, and we're finally moving into the design and bidding phase. So we're very happy with that. We have a strong history of work on the Cape. As a matter of fact, Taylor's first project was Mashpee Public Library, right down the street, and I think we've worked on multiple projects in every community on the Cape, just about all the way out to Wellfleet, and you can see that in our project bios. So we're very familiar with working on the Cape and the nuances of that. We are assisting with some troubleshooting with the Bourne Police Station project. We're not involved with that project during the design or construction. We're just lending a hand on the backside of that. And we're as familiar as I think we can be with your project right now. I think we have a firm understanding of where you want to be, and there may be even a goal to try to group the projects together and economize and look at some economy to scale. So, we've looked at the two separate projects and combining them could be a good idea, but our goal would be we'd love to jump into this and do an audit right up front and see kind of where everything is from a design and feasibility perspective.
Question 3, what is your availability for attending evening meetings? We're available. I'm actually, after this, I'm going to a committee meeting tonight in Swansea. It's part of the job. We all understand that, and we make it work. So I don't want to spend too much time on.
Yeah, if we can schedule some during the day, that'd be great.
Yeah, but we understand that a lot of committees like to meet at night.
Not a problem at all.
Yep. Question 4, how do you document, track, communicate, and manage projects electronically? So as a company, we do use Office 365 and use it pretty extensively along with OneDrive. So we're familiar with the Microsoft platform. As far as like submittal exchanges go, Procore is a common one that's used by a lot of general contractors. And I think all of us are very familiar with how Procore works, along with some other submittal exchange programs. We also have remote access to our server. We have guys everywhere across sites and whatnot. So we always have remote access into the files that we need to get as well. I don't know if anybody else wants to hit on anything on that. No?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think everybody's there now too, in terms of how projects are managed online. But obviously, we have the ability to share anything with the town, with the committee. If you put it up there, and everybody has access, through our OneDrive to everything there. So it's pretty typical now.
I guess this is me, right?
Go for it. Yep.
Yep.
All right, now we're getting into the meat of the projects. The reporting tools and methods you use to keep stakeholders informed. Of course, we're doing our monthly project updates to the committee or bi-monthly. But depending upon the progress or the process and where we're at, we will have weekly updates as to where we're at with our design or construction, and depending upon where we're at. We're very strong in our monthly reports. We traditionally will start our project with monthly updates. We'll start with a basic monthly project budget, and every single month, anything that changes on that project, it'll be reviewed and recommended to the building committee and made adjustments accordingly within the budget. We present cash flow analysis right up front, so that the town knows where they expect to be spending their money. We're constantly emailing. We like to have prime point of contact if we have a prime point of contact within our company, we like to have one with our client too, and then we can determine how we disseminate information, whether it's to the entire committee or just communications. But one of the things that we hold very firm to with our consultants, that meaning the architects and the contractors and anybody else working on the project, is that our client is to be the first to know in any situation. We call it the coffee shop management. We never want one of our clients hearing about our project or an issue that we may be working through on the project at the coffee shop. So if something comes up, we're going to be in your ear immediately with the issue, with the potential ramifications of it, and what our recommendations are for mitigation of it. But keeping that communication very clear and concise is very important to us. We use very simple accountability tools like action logs at all of our project meetings. No one wants to see their name in red if they're overdue on something. So we keep all of our team, including our client, accountable through those action logs. Then, owner-vendor acquisition logs and PCO logs. There's a lot of different tools that we use that we are provided to the building committee at the end of each month. But on a day-to-day, we're working with our prime point of contact as well as our design team and our contractors during that flow. So it's pretty smooth. Alex is a very good example of how she's got Swansea under control right now. We always start with, people being very uneasy about why, I need to know this, I need to know that. But once they get comfortable with our reporting, we're not holding anything back. But we want to make sure that we don't create too much work. In other words, getting, answering, emails from every single person involved with the project. So we try to control that, and we do that pretty successfully through that, like I said, prime point of contact. Am I missing anything, Taylor?
No, I think you're good. I don't want to try to, I know we're racing against time, so I don't want to belabor anything, but just something as simple as the constant email updates or phone calls when something comes up. This is how simple it can be, but it keeps everybody updated. So yesterday we had a water main break, nothing that we were doing. The guys on site were using a hydrant to keep some dust down. They turned off the hydrant, and all of a sudden the ground heaved. So they called me right away. I said, send me, I need just a quick down and dirty email of exactly what happened. And I sent that to the Board of Selectmen, the committee chairman, and the town administrator, just so they have that information right away. So when somebody calls them and says, hey, I don't have water on the street, he has the answers right away. So, or they have the answers right away. So just simple things to keep things moving and everybody in the know. Next, how do you allocate resources for a project of this size? So again, we use a team approach to everything we do. We don't want to just have one person be the contact point for everything that we do. Again, when we start here, it'll be probably Rick and myself to get this project out of the gates and moving on to the next phase of the project, and you'll see a little bit of the rest of us. But it's really about prioritizing that critical path. Are we looking to get this project out for certain funding? Are we looking to meet a town meeting goal, a special town meeting goal, establishing what that critical path is first, and then developing a plan from there, obviously with assistance from the design team on how quickly they can meet those goals and objectives as well. It's as simple as coordination with the stakeholders, simple as meeting with the town, understanding their wants, needs, goals. It's all part of the process that we run here at the beginning of the project. And just really having, regular meetings, trying to keep the project pushing forward, trying to make sure we're not waiting too long in between decisions being made. We'll tell the committee when they have decisions they have to make. We'll tell the town, listen, this meeting coming up, we need you to do X, Y, and Z. So it's not just listening for us and us to direct everything. We'll let you know when you have to make decisions as well. So,
we get very simple sometimes with our allegation of staffing. I don't want to call it manpower. Every Monday morning we have a management meeting. It's a Monday morning meeting. So we sit down with the project managers and we talk about every project, what's going on. Very brief, but informed. And, you know, what are the hurdles that you're anticipating this week, next week, the week after, almost like a 3-week look ahead. Everybody shares in that. And what we're finding is that we all have different experiences along the way. And, something out of a conversation in our Monday morning meetings could come back that, geez, I just went through that on another project. Let me help you with that. Or, let's get some advice. We'll have a little sidebar and talk about how we're going to tackle this issue. So a lot gets vetted through that within us internally. And so, that time we spend on those Monday mornings seems like, my God, I've got to get my day started. I've got to get going. But it cools us down, gets us to a good pace, and we get off marching after those meetings. And then on Fridays, we have a cool-down meeting. We'll have breakfast. We'll get together and just talk about our week and talk about what we're doing for the weekend, whether we're working or not working, and what happened during the week, sort of a beginning and an end. And it really lets us exhale so that we can start our next week productively. And that's how we get the team approach for when we're closing out Swansea right now, or if we're getting a pre-qualification ready for another project. Rather than certain people being assigned to a project, everybody jumps in and helps in those areas. So it seems like a major task allocating resources to a project, but I think the system that we have together between us works quite well.
Next up, describe how are we doing on time? Actually, is there?
Good. The next interview is scheduled for 3:30, so we have some time.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like we're racing through this, but so describe your approach to public projects. And I'm going to hit these kind of out of order, and Rick, you can jump in as well.
Yep.
But the first one I really just want to hit is team collaboration and team approach. I think we do this extremely well. And what I mean by this is everybody gets a seat at the table. So once the team is fully vetted and hired, meaning the architect team's on board, the contractor's on board, everybody has a kind of say in what's going on. We are by far the person driving the boat, but we're not also there. We're not there to pound our fists on the table at every single meeting and make enemies in that process. It just doesn't work. So I'm not going to say we go easy, because we go hard, and we know when we know we need to go hard. But I think bringing everybody in and making it a team approach to getting the project done, in my opinion, is the best way to get these public projects going. Everybody has somebody they need to answer to. Everybody's fighting deadlines, fighting costs, and the more that you can show the other people sitting across from the table from you that you're there to help them and help the process and keep the process going smoothly, works works far better than screaming at them across the table and saying, hey, we need this, we need that. Because there's times where you need them just as much as they need you to get those projects done. So we really take pride in how we manage our projects. We end up walking away. We have contractors that follow us from project to project and only bid on our projects because they know they'll be treated fairly, but they know that it'll be a good project. It's pretty interesting, I think, the way that we run things.
Every municipal project has its hurdles, but what we find is that making sure that the planning is thorough and accurate is one of the most critical components to it. And the planning is from the beginning, from project programming to making sure that the design meets the goals of the project program, to making sure that the design is completed in such a way that it's efficient and well detailed, to avoid change orders through construction management to close out. We don't stop planning when the project goes out to bid. We're planning for the closeout when the project goes out to bid, and what do we need in between. So we're looking ahead every single moment of the day. And with that is the effective communication. We need to make sure that we understand what everybody's needs are in the project, all of our team members, but they also need to understand what their obligations are to the project, and we hold them accountable. Accountability is a big key in these projects. Neil?
Okay. Quality assurance, that's what I would be out there for. We work the same hours as the general contractor. We don't take any special breaks or anything like that. When the gates open at 7, I'm there. If I get a key, I'll get one. And we stay until the work is done for that particular day. We'll monitor that on a daily basis because the quality is what soils are you bringing in? Did the truck arrive today with the steel? What's your manpower going to look like during the day? We have to put that into the formula because that means progress. What's it doing to our schedule? Can we jump ahead? We falling behind? We have to be aware of that on a daily basis. So we try and be, maybe 4 or 5 steps ahead. Well, we're going to pour the foundation today. Well, what's after that? The plumbing. Where's my plumbing pipes? You got approvals for that yet? Where are they? We're ready to go. Time's money in this business. It's your money. We have to watch that very carefully, make sure we look out for deficiencies in any projects, any change orders and so forth, because that's the overall budget that we have to look at. If I see an issue, Alex, I'm short on manpower, that's going to throw them back a week. What's that going to do to their manpower? Are they going to be able to man it properly? So we go through that process on all of our projects, right from the beginning to the end. As far as problem solving, again, I will touch on that. If we can help, we will. We're not there to say, we're the boss, this is what you're going to do or anything. Hey, you got problems with an electrical contractor, what's he need help on? Can we help with anything? We want to keep that process going. We need to help the general contractor and you, the owner. We're there to complete the project at the date specified, and these are the things that we have to be aware of.
I wish I had $1 for every single time I've seen someone say, not on our projects, but I've seen someone, there's a problem on the job and someone crosses their hands and just go, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
Well, it is your problem because it's all of our problems, because if the project doesn't get completed and doesn't get completed right and on schedule, then we're all to blame for that. So as Neil said, we jump right in. We don't direct, but we help problem solve. I'm sorry, Taylor.
No, that's fine. The last, I think we hit everything. The last bullet I kind of wanted to hit here was the community representation. When we get hired by the town, we're here to work for the town. And I could say that I know that everybody on our team feels personally accountable for the projects that we take on. I mean, it's very close for Rick and I. We're owners of the company. We're vested in all of these projects. And so we will really, we'll do anything that the town asks us to do within the right or the law, right? But we'll sit down with say naysayers of the project. We'll have coffee with them. We've done this. We'll try to understand what are the issues that they care about. How can we get past what the issues that they have and get this project approved? Are there certain bulletins that we want to send out to the public on a bi-weekly basis? Alex is doing that in Lakeville right now, just to keep the public up to date in what's going on. So, it's being able to provide good information, true information, to the public and to the town, on a regular basis, so everybody kind of understands what's happening with the project. Because that the day of social media and Facebook and half the stuff that's on there is absolute BS. So you got to get information out that's good and real, so people really know what's happening.
How to develop and manage a project budget and schedule to ensure both are kept on track. Before I started Pomeroy Associates, I was vice president and officer of a healthcare REIT. We were traded on New York Stock Exchange, and I was in charge of all development financing. Back 23 years ago, before we sold, we liquidated the company, I was managing about $750 million annually in development financing. So we took those traits and brought them to Pomeroy Associates, and I think we manage our projects from a financial perspective better than any other firm out there. In my industry, if you blew your budget, you lost your job. What we saw in the municipal sector when I started Pomeroy Associates was you blew your budget, you went back to town for more money. Well, that doesn't happen with our projects. We're very accountable, we're very conservative, and we develop and maintain very accurate budgets. Our tracking process, I could go on forever on this, but Our tracking processes we reconcile monthly for every single one of our projects with town accounting. We provide our funding forecast and our budget reporting and recommendations. There's a lot to talk about with that, but keeping those finances on track are key. And with that is schedule. When we lay out a project schedule, we're laying out the anticipation for the town for the duration of the project. If you start blowing your schedule, you're most certainly going to be blowing your budget, because everybody's based on time. So we tie those schedules very tight to our budgets and to our funding forecasts. And the key to that is monitoring on a regular basis and accountability.
Thanks, Rick. Next, what strategies do you use to control costs and avoid overruns? Chris, did you want to jump in on some of these? Sure. Yeah.
Go ahead, I'll jump in on it.
First, obviously, establish a detailed and real budget. I think, Rick said, we're quite conservative, and I'd say we do take that approach when it comes to building our budgets. And it's not, we're not discussing budgets that are just ridden with contingencies. It's making sure things are checked and double checked. And maybe it means using two different estimates. Utilizing the designer's estimating team, our estimating team, putting those two estimates together to get a good project cost, right? It's looking at things just a little bit closer and tighter to make sure you're not hitting the street with a number that can't be met, because that's the worst thing you could do. It's death for the project right away. Maintain open communication with the design team, with the contractor. Really, I think we're very good at managing issues and items that might pop up unexpectedly, unexpected conditions. I'll give you an example. In Abington, we hit a dump building the new salt shed there. If you've ever dealt with soils, if you try to dispose of soils and start tracking soils off-site, it gets very, very costly to bring these soils to different landfills. And so we worked tirelessly to try to find ways that we could keep any of these soils on site. So we've created new embankments on site. We've created new windrows for trees on site. Anything we can do to keep those soils on site. Obviously, we get rid of any trash, but any of the soils associated with it, once we were done sorting it and sifting it, we've really done a great job of keeping that on site. When we first looked at this issue, we were facing costs as high as $2 million in soil overruns. Right now, we're a little bit over $1 million so we've cut that number in half of what we really thought that it was going to be from the beginning. So it's being able to quickly pivot when things come up. We do a great job in that.
I would just add something to that, if I might. The town of Southbridge, we're doing Southbridge Fire Headquarters for them. It was, the property is being built on a former car dealership. And we did our initial soil testing out there, and we identified a lot of, no contaminated soils, but a lot of urban fill. And urban fill just cannot be shipped off and disposed of anywhere. We had about 13,000 tons of material that had to go off-site. And the town wanted to put the project out to bid as quickly as possible. Our recommendation was to take a step back and introduce a soil management plan, which took 6 months, but it better defined the impact of the removal that we're going to be facing. And the estimates for that site work were around $2.5 million. After our bids were received, it was about half of that through the soil management plan, because we were able to delineate on three-dimensionally how much material the contractor was actually supposed to take out, and we had a pay line limit, and so the contractor in his pay line limit had to carry all of that. Anything below that, there would be a change order based on a unit price. Anything above that would be a credit based upon a unit price. It worked out fabulously. We saved a ton of money out there. And we took 6 months, and a matter of fact, when the project went out to bid, we were starting to get a little bit drop in the escalation rate, so it worked out quite well for the town. So mitigating those types of risks, in any part of the project are very important.
Chris, did you want to add anything on this slide, or?
Sure. Rick and I right now, I just came in a month ago. Rick and I are working on a job down the Cape that came in. We had original plans, and we came in late to the project, and we didn't have the plans to look at. So we have an updated plan, which is kind of different. So what I did is I took those plans from the two different separate, and I value engineered them and found what the cost differences was with those two plans. And we brought that forward to the town recently and told them, this is what happened in your first plan from a couple years ago and where we are in today's standards and the cost over and all the increases that have come over the last couple years with inflation and materials. So it was kind of nice for the town to kind of actually see what the project numbers were what they should be. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last month, trying to get that job off the ground.
The last item I wanted to hit here was, I'd say we don't take any change orders kind of at first blush. Everything's reviewed, very detailed review of everything. And it's kind of a game I like to play is what that first value of the change order comes in at and what that final value of that change order comes in at, because we're usually able to whittle away at a good amount of it. But our change orders then are put into categories: unforeseen, unexpected, design changes, you know, or what's the third one?
Owner upgrades.
Owner upgrades. So we usually end up seeing on our projects, most of the changes are owner upgrades, because we're able to manage the money so well that the owners can put back money into these projects if they see fit. In terms of the design changes, you know, we keep track of those. The designer is put on notice if it's a large miss, if it's something egregious, they might be put on notice and say, hey, the owner has the right to come back at the end of the project and discuss this. Very rarely does that happen. Like I said, it's usually an egregious miss, something that should have absolutely been on the plans. But I think it's something to be considered is anytime you build one of these new buildings, it's a new prototype. There's going to be change orders. It's the way that you manage those change orders. Things are going to come up, and it's just the way that you approach them and keep everybody apprised of, you know, how you're going through the cost and, you know, what the next steps are with each one of them.
I'm going to suggest we move it along a little bit to
Yeah.
leave some time for
Yeah.
Q&A. So,
Next was 10. Do you want to just jump in on that, or
thought we were,
we hit most of those?
yeah, you just covered 10.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Want me to talk about 11?
Yeah, I wanted
All
to do
right.
that.
Explain your process for following up after project completion. So as we've already talked about, Chris, Neil, and I are working on the closeout for Swansea Public Library. And right now, we're in the midst of tracking punch lists, completion action logs, and all of that stuff that comes toward the end, warranties, O&Ms, all that stuff. I've actually got on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting to set up the one-year warranty inspection, so we'll be talking about that. Also, too, that we make sure that any project is 100% complete before releasing any retainage. And also, too, after the project is 100% complete, there could be issues that come up. You know, no project is ever perfect after it's complete, you know. So we're always there for the follow-up. We're always, you know, you can always call us. And we'll help to mitigate through some of those issues. I don't know, Chris, Neil, if you want to add to anything about our closeout right now.
Just making sure part of that closeout is we do a lot of double checking for permits, fire department, building department, CX people, you know, for commissioning the equipment. If there's any issues with that, we make sure that that's all there, because a lot of times when they pull the permits, there's special requirements, a special list that we have to go through for the building department to make that happen. So everything is right up front. We know where we are. Well, Neil, how come you didn't get the CO for the building? Because such and such of this, such and such of that. But most, I say all the time, we get the CO. We work very hard with the general contract. This is the hardest part of a closeout for the project, to get the people back to make sure you're completely 100% done.
Thanks, Neil.
Funny you say that, Neil. Neil, how come you didn't get the CO for that project? It's the general contractor's responsibility to get the CO.
Well,
but
we take it as my job.
but we're there pushing them across the finish line.
We'll get through these next couple ones pretty quickly, but how is our fee structured? We base that on an hourly projection. So we look at who is going to spend the time on the project during each phase, and we put hours to that. We don't just run it at a percentage. Funny enough, the percentage, you know, if you look at the percentage of an OPM cost compared to your overall construction budget, usually comes out pretty close, but we'll actually show you down to our hours. We have a very detailed schedule that shows you exactly how we come up with our fee. And if there's something that you don't agree with when we, provide our fee and say, hey, I don't think you're going to spend 4 hours a week on this, we'll say, okay, fine, we can discuss that. But we give you a very detailed breakdown of it. It's a lump sum, so. Rick, you want to finish
Well,
up 13 and 14? or-
Yeah, so the solid waste construction experience, we just finished up, Taylor finished up a couple of years ago on the Dennis Transfer Station. That is really our only solid waste project. But we have completed a number of, we're working in Chatham right now for that transfer station. And we've also got a couple of other projects in the mix, a good number of DPWs and police stations and fire stations and maintenance facilities. But what we have is a little indicator here as to what was involved with the Dennis transfer station improvements. Taylor walked through that a couple of years ago, a very successful project. And, I wish we had more projects with regard specifically solid waste, but right now this is where we're at.
As far as permitting goes?
So as far as permitting goes, we're very involved with the permitting of the Dennis project. We're very involved with the permitting on every one of our projects. So what we wanted to give you an example of is some of the complexities of some of our other projects. What you're looking at on the left is the Abington DPW project, and that's an extensive amount of permitting before and after the project started. Taylor was talking about the undisclosed dump area in the back. But what I wanted to stress was that permitting is a team approach. We're managing it. We're not permitting the project. We're managing the process. And having the right team on board for that permitting process is essential. The engineers, the architects, the civil engineers, and all of the consultants involved with that process. We manage the process, but it's a team approach. I wanted to give you some examples of some rather extensive permitting projects that we've been involved with. The Gayhead Lighthouse move in Aquina. The project involved Conservation Planning Board, the NHESP for Archaeological and Endangered Species, the EPA, the Mass DEP, Mass Division of Marine Fisheries, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Wampanoag Tribal Council. There was also waterways that we had to deal with, and there was one other one I just
Department of
came.
Homeland Security.
Had the Department of Homeland Security because it was at one point owned by the Coast Guard. So that process, it was a fast-track process, but we had all the permitting completed pretty quickly so that we could move that lighthouse. And actually on the next page is a picture of that lighthouse. I think and another good example of our, so I personally managed the permitting process for the Gayhead Lighthouse. I also personally managed the Simpson Island rewilding project in Orleans. That was basically an island that was purchased by a group of very interested residents of the area who wanted to see the island put back to its original form, 400 years ago. So our firm was hired to put the team together to accomplish those goals. The first step was getting the engineers on board and then handling all the permitting. And that involved the Conservation, the Planning Board, the Board of Health, Waterways. We had archaeological and endangered species to deal with, the Mass DEP, the Mass Division of Marine Fisheries, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Wampanoag Mashpee representative. So as I indicated before, the key in any complex permitting project is the management of it and making sure that the right consultants are on board. I think we have a depth of experience in that area.
Thank you. And that hits all your questions, so we're open for questions now.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Very thorough.
Yeah. I feel like we ran through that, but
Yeah, no, that was good. The time was good, so. Guess we'll start. Ken, you got any Any
Well,
further?
I guess I have a little question about the fee structure. So is it hourly or it's a fixed fee based on hourly?
Fixed fee based on hourly.
Okay.
Yes, correct. I may have said that a little. We estimate, for myself, for example, right, to that first phase of, the feasibility of the project. I might estimate my hours per week to be maybe 6 hours per week, for that phase, and however long that phase is, and then we arrive at a cost. And so we do that for each one of our employees, arrive at a cost, and we share that information with you as well.
I want to make sure we're clear on that, though. Most folks will just tag a percentage on it and call it a day. We look at every phase, everything that we're doing and how much time we expect to spend on it. And we average out our costs across the project. And we'll provide that flow chart to you so that you can see how we came up with our fee. But then we will bill on a monthly basis on percent complete.
Nolan?
With a fairly tight construction schedule, can you speak to that schedule and how your team plans to meet that schedule?
Well, yes, that's why we're here today. We have the team available to accomplish that. The first step right now is we need to jump into the design documents that have been completed, and we'd like to perform an audit on that and make sure that it meets the goals and objectives of the department and the town, and compare that with the program. We'd also like to take a look at where we are with the project as far as design, constructability reviews, and we're not looking to reinvent the wheel, but jumping in at this stage in the ballgame, we need to buy in ownership on that. So our goal would be to be working on a parallel track, going through that audit, understanding the team players, understanding the dynamics and schedule. All the while on a parallel track, we'll get the RFQ out for the second project because you need to get a firm on board for that so that we can start establishing those schedules. So there's a lot of upfront work before we can see all that meshing together, but we just really need to jump into it. We have the manpower, we have the horsepower, I should say. We're here, ready to go, and Taylor and I will be taking the lead on this, and we'll be looking for our support. We have other staff members, of course, but this is what I'm looking at is being involved with the
Yeah,
project.
one of the things you'd have to do, we'd like to do right away, and I'm gonna throw this to your side, Alex,
Okay.
but is because of the cost of the project, you'd have to pre-qualify this for contractors. So that's something you'd want to jump on right away. So Alex, if you want to just quick overview on pre-qual, that's your.
Yeah, so any project over $10 million in Massachusetts has to go through a pre-qualification process. I've sort of become the guru in our office of pre-qualification, and we use an online system. It's made it streamline it a lot easier, and we have to have people from the OPM, the architect, and the town involved. So it's not a super cumbersome process, it's something you have to do, but yeah, I could see jumping into this pretty quickly with this project.
Thank you.
Greg?
I have just two questions. One, have you worked with Helene Kyle, the architects, before?
No, we have not.
So this will be first time?
Yeah.
Yes.
And on costs, what tools do you use to look at the cost estimates? Is
What
it
was the
from-
question? I'm sorry.
How do you do your in-house cost estimates and review the cost estimates? Are you using historical, are you using data?
We usually farm out our cost estimating. That's not what we do as a business. So we have several different firms. Usually we're going to PM&C to do any cost estimating. We feel very firmly that the best cost estimate is an estimator that is doing it every single day of the week and as their profession. So we used to do a lot of cost estimating, and we found that we just weren't keeping on top of the industry trends and the costs. So that would be farmed out. But we work very closely with them on a regular basis.
We carry that consultant in our cost when we, it's buried in there. But yeah, they're the ones that have their fingers on the pulse. So we like to use a consultant.
Interesting part about that, too, is that a professional cost estimator is looking at the trends and the results of the bids on a daily basis. So they're not only, keeping in tune with what's happening from material supplies, but they're also looking at how the contractors are bidding. And every bid that comes in, they're comparing it to the estimates so they can continually refine their numbers. You know, I feel very strongly that hiring that third-party professional is key to cost control in that matter.
Thank you.
When you say you're available soon, ASAP, as it says, what does that mean? Does that mean next week, this month? The reason I say that is the 20th of this month is town meeting, and there's an important thing on town meeting for this project, so how soon can you get going?
What are you doing tomorrow morning?
No, no, no.
You know, as we talked about earlier, Alex is just rolling out of Swansea. Neil is rolling out of Swansea as well. He's going to be going to another project for the time being, but is readily available if we were to start this in the spring, if it truly is that construction duration. You know, we have other projects, there's no doubt about it, but we certainly can accommodate your schedule within our schedule very easily. We just have to, you know, move some things around. We're not like the Maytag guy, we're just waiting for a phone call. But that's why we're here. That's why we didn't submit the last time, because we just couldn't fit it in, couldn't work it into our schedule.
I think the other part of it too is we don't have a hierarchy above us to answer to as far as, you know, it wouldn't be the first, second, or third time that we've started working before even the contract is figured out. You know, if we need to jump on and help things along, it's, you know, we do it all the time. So it's not like, there's not really anything that would hold us up other than, you know, you guys telling us, no, don't start. So we're pretty agile.
Who is your cost estimator?
PM&C,
Okay.
we use PM&C, we also use AM Fogarty, Peter Timothy.
A couple questions. Oh, in the Dennis Transfer Station, did you guys get into any of the ATO, ATC process with that? I know you were just working on the recycling center.
We did not, no.
No, none of the Mass DEP permitting?
No, but no, we didn't. But I would say so in Abington, for example, we're very, I'm on a daily email with Mass DEP right now because of some issues that we've had over there. So we're very in tune with navigating, I wouldn't say just the permitting, but any issues that may come up on stuff. We hit some oil pistons in the ground there. We hit some asbestos. So as far as navigating day to day with Mass DEP, I'm doing that now currently with them. So.
Yeah. All right. We're very familiar with soils, by the way. We are a receiver of many thousands, tens of thousands of tons of soils. So you said you hadn't, the HKA question is one I had as well. Are you guys, you know, they use bid docs. Have you used bid docs at all? Are you familiar with bid docs?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
We use bid docs or Project Dog, you know, any one of those online portals. Yeah.
And just a rough idea, how long do you think it would take for you guys to get in and sort of assess where we're at and become comfortable with the project? You know, are we talking a week, 2 weeks, something like that, do you think?
It's tough to say without seeing the documents right now, but I would say that it would be a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know, I would think that we could be 100% up to speed within a month, but that's not to say that we're not working on the project and moving the project forward during that period of time.
Right.
You know, it's just it's going to take a while to understand all of the nuances and the decision making that have taken place to make sure that we, you know, completely understand it. But I think if you immerse yourself in it, you could get pretty comfortable pretty quick. I just not seeing the documents at a level of detail. It's hard to tell.
Have you guys been in this position before where you're stepping in for another OPM?
Yes.
Yes. Anytime.
Okay. So you have some experience with coming in where some progress has been made, but you really need to step in and take over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've been asked on many projects to come in and help clean things up.
Yeah, Chris was talking about that earlier. That's a difficult, we're in the middle of that right now in another project. We weren't involved during the feasibility, and it was brought to town meeting. And it, you know, we got involved about 2 months ago, and before we even got involved, you know, we said, look, we're not real comfortable with where you're at with your budget. And I'm not suggesting that's the case here, but it was the case there. And so now I have to be in front of the select board this evening to describe to the select board why they're having a budget problem, when we weren't involved with it when they established the budget. So it's a real tightrope that you walk, because I think these are long but short projects. So you need to be able to be politically correct and describe things very clearly and accurately without throwing a lot of stones. Yeah, we've been involved with a number of projects where the OPMs have not been retained.
Dennis was actually an interesting one. They got far enough down the road without having an OPM because they didn't realize they needed one until it was too late. We were working on their senior center project, and they reached out to us. And we had to go through the bid process, of course, but they reached out, and their design was almost done when we came on board. And they hadn't really been assisted from the project management side at all, other than kind of what the architect had helped them through. So that project, we had to come in and get up to speed pretty quickly. I think after we were hired, we were out to bid maybe a month later. And so coming up to speed quickly on that project and getting in tune with it.
Right.
And I guess the other question is, excuse me if I don't have enough background, but what percentage of your work do you do for municipalities as opposed to, do you do any work for private industry?
95%.
Yeah, 95% municipal.
I wish it was less sometimes.
I mean, I was going to say, is that a choice because of your backgrounds, or is that a choice because you prefer that kind of client?
Well, yeah, we love municipalities. No, we really do. And for some reason,
Trying to measure the sarcasm.
No, it's a very interesting question. I've been asked that before. A gentleman out in Martha's Vineyard said, with all of the talent you guys have, why in the world are you working for municipalities? Because I think we have a really good niche. We don't grind things out. You're just not a number for us, and we really enjoy that. We enjoy the challenge, and we've had some opportunities. We do some private sector work, but it's a small percentage of what we do.
Yeah, I think we just have a very good system for what municipalities need and do. And that the inner workings of towns is something we're very familiar with. So for us, we don't need to reinvent the wheel on our process, right? It's just getting comfortable with the town and getting them comfortable with us. And the biggest thing, and I often joke about this too, is like this interview process and being hired by the town is kind of like a marriage, because you're with us and we're with you for the next 4 or 5 years, right? So you want to be comfortable with that person and that team. So it's I think we do a very good job of being coming into towns and making them feel comfortable with us, so that the project goes smoothly. So that's what we like and enjoy.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah, we're at 3:30. I have one more question. So you guys are the team you're doing the fire station. This is
No. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Alex, Taylor, and Neil are not involved with the fire station.
Okay, so separate team, with the exception of yourself.
So, I'm the lead on that, and Chris is working with me as a project manager. So we're envisioning here, Taylor's going to be the lead. I'm going to be, we're going to be working tandem, but this is not the same team. So we want to make sure, that's a good question.
Yeah,
We should have told you that up front.
Yeah, that's why we've never brought 5 people to an interview, to be honest. But we did that. Yeah, it's definitely the first for us. We've been doing this for over 20 years. We did that just to show the depth of some other team members that you would have here, even though you have that other project being the fire station. But so.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with your decision.
All right.
That shoulder season, you know?
Yeah, I know, you never quite know. It's actually pretty warm outside. We probably have a couple minutes. I might go get a jacket.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
We'll see ya.
That's just the camera. That's just the TV, so. PowerPoint or is it a PDF?
Nicer in here than it is out in the lobby.
It's cool in here. You don't notice that?
It's not in the lobby.
Yeah, the lobby was a little warm.
Yeah?
Could just be the nose.
So as far as advancing,
What's that?
as far as advancing that, should,
Yeah, somebody might just have to sit over there and drive.
do you want us over there?
Yeah,
Jack?
I can do it. Not a problem.
pass that down to those guys if they want to run through it. All right, I think, thanks for coming. We're ready when you are. You guys have the floor.
All right, awesome, great. Well, thank you, good afternoon. I'm Brian Jarvis, Managing Director with the Vertex Companies. I want to thank you for inviting us today. We're grateful for the opportunity to interview and showcase why we think we're the right team for the ISWM Garage and Maintenance and Transfer Station project. Also grateful for a chance to go to the Lobster Trap for lunch, but you can't pass up those opportunities. But no, talking a little bit about Vertex, we have a strong belief in why we do things. You know, that should be really our focus. You know, and our why is really bettering outcomes for our clients and our communities, making our communities better. And really enjoy doing these mission critical projects for our clients, and it's what really gets us up in the morning. So I think that's going to show through in our presentation. We understand the expansion needs to happen. It's imminent, and really need to push that to make sure that you folks are all ready to meet your schedules that you need to meet in the next couple years. We love doing municipal projects. Hopefully that all shows through as we talk through today. We have about a 15-20 minute presentation, trying to fit within your time frame there. Hopefully answering all the questions you sent out. We really appreciate that. But if there's something that pops up while we're talking, feel free to chime in. Really appreciate getting to a conversation as well, so we can do it either way. Have a team with a significant OPM experience working on DPWs, garage facilities of the like. So I think you really find us to be a good fit for what you need right now. Brian Jarvis, Managing Director, as I mentioned, 20 years in the industry. Master's in Construction Management, MCPPO certification. Been working as an OPM here in Massachusetts for over the last 17 years. Numerous municipal projects, DPWs, Norwood DPW, Norwood Municipal Light, Medway DPW, as well as many fire stations. So very familiar with these types of buildings and structures. Currently working on our DPW project in Sterling, Mass. Steve?
My name is Steve Kirby. I'd be your project director, available anytime. I've got 40-plus years of construction management experience, 19 with Vertex, 10 years with a former public schools contractor, and also worked for a period of time for C.J. Mabarty, who had a successful C&D transfer station up in Cambridge. I'm a civil engineer. I got my mass construction supervisor's license. I'm MCPPO certified. I've done a lot of public construction work as OPM. Locally, just finished up the Hatchville Station in Falmouth. Currently on the Falmouth Police Headquarters project, and I did do the Hingham Municipal Light Plant with HKA. Bill?
How you doing, everybody? Pulling double duty today. My name's Bill Nangle. I would be your construction site manager, so your eyes and ears out there in the field every single day. I have 20 years of AEC experience on all sides of the table, architect, construction. Last 10 years have been as an OPM Vertex Companies. Majority of that work has been with public safety buildings. I have my Mass CSL unsupervised. I literally live a stone's throw away over the bridge, so relatively close to the existing transfer station. My dad served as a firefighter here in town years ago, and also spent some time on the DPW, so a little extra excitement in being here today, so thanks for having us.
And pictured not here today, Mary Cuppins. She's out preparing for her daughter's wedding, but she heads up our accounting department. All of our projects get a dedicated project accountant, and you'll see some of our tools and processes that we use, making sure that you have the budget that you have in place is well managed, and you guys are always informed where everything stands, so you can make informed decisions. And quickly at the bottom, just some of the depth of our resources here at Vertex, in-house expertise, if you will. If needed, we can flex them in and out of a project. People talking about sustainability, building ops, project controls, specifically scheduling. We'll talk about building envelope. Again, we bring them in as needed to talk through issues, add a third opinion if needed, and resolve some issues quickly. We carry a few sub-consultants with us. PM&C is a leading public construction cost estimator here in Massachusetts. We've been working with Peter and his team for over 15 years. Really trust them as far as putting together solid budgets and value engineering exercises. And we're also carrying LKB Engineering. So Teresa Heavenfeld, LKB is a subsidiary of Vertex. They're a civil engineering firm. Teresa's got 40 years experience in the solid waste landfill type of projects, doing both inspections, design, closure, and caps. So she's available too as needed to help vet design team designs and as far as issues that might come up on site. And again, if needed, we can bring those folks in to help out. little bit more about us, firm background, 150 public projects in the last 15 years, ranging from $2 million repairs up over $300 million high schools. We've worked for colleges and universities. We actually did cadet housing down at Mass Maritime just down the street. That was one of our teams. In our Braintree office, we have 49 people dedicated to OPM work. That's all we do. We do all OPM work. 95% of our jobs have been in Massachusetts. We have a job right now in Providence, Rhode Island. But kind of like the misnomer of we're a big firm, we actually 49 people and all we do is OPM work. So yes, we're part of a firm that has other services, but from an OPM perspective, we're located right here in Mass, and that's all we've done for the last 15 years. And like to think we're a leading OPM in that market. So again, having a lot of experience to bring to the table, having done a plethora of projects in the last few years. Why us? Besides that we love doing these types of projects, I think you'll see we kind of have this relentless drive to get the best results for our owners, understanding your schedule and budget to make sure things are moving forward, whether it's design phase or construction or even closing out a project that we're constantly pushing. Really want to become that trusted partner. A lot of the projects that we've done are repeat clients. We have projects that we're working on right now. It's the 4th, 5th, 6th projects for a client, whether that's a public safety facility, a DPW facility, or a school. And this is your dedicated team. As part of a larger firm, we're able to line our people to the right opportunity with the availability with folks that have the right experience. We're not trying to cover a bunch of projects with a smaller team, that we're actually able to kind of staff our projects to make sure that you're getting the right attention. I kind of feel like we're a right size, if you will, to bring the experience that we have on big projects and a large number of projects, but gives you a small, dedicated, small firm feel. And again, leading to that repeat business and that customer satisfaction. And we understand the public. I think one of your questions was, the public process and night meetings. We understand the job. We understand the role. We've been pretty successful at the last few years. We go where we need to go with the clients. Currently working on projects, as Steve mentioned, in Falmouth, Pembroke, Amherst, Upton, Sterling, Haverhill. We have teams, that are dedicated to those clients. And what you see here is what you're going to get from Vertex as far as that small firm feel. You're going to see the three of us, plus Mary, plus potentially an APM helping us out along the way, because we have a pretty deep bench. Just some experience, similar type projects, DPWs, garage facilities, utility providers, et cetera. Kind of a listing on the left there of the last recent projects in the last 10 years or so. A lot of DPWs, some municipal light departments with garage and maintenance facilities. Experience working with your architect, HKA, both in Medway and in Hingham Municipal Light, so we understand their designs, kind of their details that they use, the pros and cons, and have successful projects with them, which is great. So you can always bring that experience to the table. Plus over 30, 35 public safety facilities like fire stations. Again, garage spaces, we understand the particular types of equipment that go into these buildings, the programming that needs to be done on any type of project to make sure it's adequately getting incorporated into design, it's coordinated with the construction details, and then you're helping you procure those types of things that might not be part of the contractor scope as we get towards construction. Steve?
So our project approach is team, plan, execute, sort of our firm's mantra. Team-wise, you need to develop the project team, in which we have the OPM team assembled here. At this point you have your designer selected for the admin and the maintenance building, but there's still a need to advertise and potentially select someone for the transfer station. We also look at any designer's sub-consultant and engineering team. We want to make sure that they also have the experience that's necessary for the project, and we also look at what our past experience has been with not only a designer, architect, but also the sub-consultant engineers. And during design, obviously the owner is also part of the team. The entire team is always needs to be on the same page, and eventually a GC is added to that team. Planning-wise, we develop the right plan, the realistic and complete budget to fit the program. We confirm the scope based on the program and needs and budget that you pretty much set at this point, certainly for the admin and the maintenance building. Maintain the schedule through design, understand you're somewhere around design development, and then bidding through construction. And then we try and foresee and address any risks in advance that we can. And finally, execute. Collaboration is number one. The project team is going to include ISWM end users, town departments, building departments, boards, committees, and ultimately the GC. Vertex will always have our finger on the pulse of the project. At certain times we're going to maybe tell you something you don't necessarily want to hear, but it's always for the benefit of the project. we want to make sure that your wallet is our wallet, and we don't want to open our wallet any more than we have to. And for OPMs, there is no DCAM certification, so our next job is dependent on when someone calls you and how we did on this particular project. So cost control during design, you need a realistic budget and appropriate construction and soft cost contingencies. My understanding is that you're getting a DD estimate from C2, John Kenny from C2E sometime maybe this week. It'd probably be a little bit of a lift, but ideally we'd get someone on board to do an estimate and do a reconciliation on that. Certainly in the CD stage, we'd want to. As we know, square footage, drives cost, so we want to make sure we're having efficient use of the building, in particular the admin building. I think the maintenance is probably pretty set based on equipment that you have and with a little bit of growth. We also try and utilize the lessons we've learned from other projects to minimize design and construction issues and change orders. We look at the front end, the tech specs and the drawings, and do our own constructability reviews during design development and CD, potentially CD60 and CD90. And we always track costs throughout the industry through our network of contacts. The whole thing about tariffs, we're always looking to see what kind of impact that has on materials. So you want to be able to foresee that kind of stuff before it causes a problem. And again, we try and track project risks in advance so that we can address them efficiently. So cost control and total project budget. You're going to have a comprehensive project budget. Construction, designer, and OPM fees are your large costs, but you also have numerous other small costs, generally soft costs. Construction materials testing, commissioning, FF&E, utility back charges, moving, all those need to be accounted for. We don't want to end up having death by 1,000 cuts if we don't have placeholders for those in the budget. And you may have that already. We don't know yet. But we want to make sure that we're covering everything, and we constantly track that and update it as new information comes in, or we actually get quotes for materials. And cost control and document review. Like I said earlier, we do the in-house constructability review at DD, CD60, and CD90, inclusive of all the drawings, the tech specs, and certainly the front end. We want to ensure that there's proper language in the front end, in particular for percentages or markups on change orders. Standard AIA really doesn't address that. Now, my experience with HKA is he has a pretty tight set of general conditions, but we're certainly going to want to take a look at it and provide any input that we have. And we want to make sure that during the drawings, we're doing a careful review to make sure that the phasing works so that your operations aren't interrupted during construction. I mean, our goal is to minimize the change orders, which only spend contingency and extend project duration.
Excellent. Speaking a little bit about project duration, scheduling, one of the first things we'll do is confirm your project schedule with what you have in place, update total project schedule. We use Microsoft Project, put together a full Gantt chart with logic, but it's tough sometimes for owners and committees to follow that. We do break that down into easy-to-use tools, whether it's a bar chart or a work plan, which you see at the bottom right there. And the goal is making sure that we've allowed enough time kind of working backwards from when you want to have occupancy to understand the procurement schedule, as well as enough time in design for you all to make the decisions you need to make, that you have enough information ahead of you so you're not getting information for the first time the night of a meeting and being asked to decide on things. Try to plan that out in advance with a work plan as much as we can, so that you're always feeling that you're prepared and have enough time to fully review it. And then continuously monitoring that schedule with the designer and eventually with the contractor. When we get to construction, we do schedule reviews as well. We also have folks that can run the scheduling software from the contractor, so we actually dive into their native files, so we can run their base file for their P6 or Primavera and actually check all their logic, check all their tasks, make sure everything's connected the right way, it all makes sense. They're not adding things and deleting things, comparing it back to baseline. They don't have false constraints in there. The PDF of the schedule says you're on schedule, but everything's waterfalling and you don't have enough time. The goal here is not to be a gotcha OPM. Like, we bring this to the table to say, listen, this is what we think the issue is. Let's not get to the 3 months from the end of the job and realize we're not going to make up this time. We know about this day one when we get a schedule update from them, and we can have that conversation continuously during construction. We then use tools like a transition schedule, which you see to the right, which is based on a construction schedule, but also what's the schedule for FF&E and equipment? What's the schedule for IT, security? Things that may or may not be in the contractor scope that the town and the ISWM departments is procuring themselves. So line that all up in an easy-to-follow schedule for the project teams. So they know what's happening every week as we get to getting ready for cutover and occupancy of that building. And that takes the form of meetings, which we'll talk a little bit about coming up. But as far as a scheduling tool, it creates a one-stop shop that we know where everything is without having to look at the complicated Gantt chart schedules. And then communicating with you, probably one of our most important, if not most important tasks at the end of the day. How do we do that? So we can set up internal collaboration sites. We use SharePoint as a base, as you see here. We can set this up for a place for document repository, uploading drawings if you'd like, in addition to whatever the architect might provide already. Meeting minutes, a calendar. This is intended for internal use, separate from whatever you have. You guys have a pretty good presence out, for the public right now, which is great. But this is something, instead of having to go through all your emails on a Saturday and try to get a file, if you want, these all can be loaded ahead of meetings, et cetera, and use it as a repository. And then monthly reporting. So example of cover page from our monthly report, kind of a dashboard look. Green is healthy, yellow there's some risk and concerns, red there's issues. This is kind of a cover page to everything that's going on in the project, whether it's budget or schedule, risks and issues. The goal here is always seeing greens, and you guys are going to see yellows well in advance of ever being a red. And our job is to make sure that we're flagging issues or potential issues in advance so we can come to you with enough information so you can make decisions, and it's just not an urgent matter. Sometimes you can't avoid it in construction, but the goal is to always, be greens if possible and no worse than yellow. Steve, on the budget?
Cost control and reporting on cost control. We've implemented what we call the vendor invoice package, a VIP package. This is one document that provides not only the invoices to be approved that month, but it also tracks approved budget, revisions to the budget, funds committed to date, funds spent to date, and funds remaining. Included in that package is obviously going to be the invoices to be approved that month. Initially, it'll only be your OPM and your designer, but eventually it's going to grow with the contractor on board and any of your owner purchases and contracts. We also periodically coordinate with the town accounting and finance departments, request the muni accounts payable report, just to make sure that there's nothing being miscoded erroneously and charged to the project budget.
This is where I come in. Once we're under construction, as I mentioned before, our lead ours engineers are boots on the ground. They make it dress nice to this, but they're on the dying steel. So with that, we be tracking all construction activities daily. We use that. We have record keeping through our cloud-based app, which is Raken. Can be distributed to an internal team, could just be kept with us just for file keeping. It allows us to know exactly what subs are on site, what they're doing with photographic documentation, but also will help us check back to certified payroll if needed to line those items up. Obviously, coordination and communication with ISWM, town, all the different departments in terms of scheduling and understanding, the hours of the day that are going to be better for deliveries or concrete, et cetera. All that coordination, we will head up that to, again, ease the burden on you guys, because that's going to be our job, right? So, we will also manage the QA/QC process, your third-party testing, your commissioning, any building inspections, and then down the road, trainings and warranty items. Along with Steve, we'll be part of the review for the payment applications to make sure that what they're billing for is on the straight and narrow, and that the town is getting, what they're actually paying for. And then on top of that, punch list, is a big thing, trying to stay on top of the architect, the design team, the contractor, close up the punch list in a timely manner, because then after that, we got FF&E coming in, the IP, the equipment, and coordinating, as Brian alluded to, a nice move management schedule. We say closeout starts when the project begins, because we don't want to lose sight of what that move management is going to look like, because coming out of an old building, getting into a new building, we want to make sure that the staff, no matter what type of building it is at the end of the day, but with some of the specialty equipment in here, might be a little bit newer to some of the guys working there, so we want to make sure that they're trained, feel comfortable in those trainings prior to moving into the new facility. And that helps, we find that thinking that way really helps ease the burden with the move management.
Great. Excellent.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, double duty over there.
So, cost control during construction. I mean, there's two costs that are happening during construction. It's your hard costs and your soft costs. Hard costs would be your change orders that are either requested or coming in from the contractors. You know, we obviously keep a PCO log. You know, the PCO submissions are going to have the detailed procedures that I mentioned in the general conditions, so that the contractor has really a guide on how to fill them out. You know, we're continuously tracking the change orders against the construction contingency, and we identify what reasons why a change order is needed. And every PCO is vigorously vetted, because generally speaking, they don't get it right the first time when we send it back for corrections, whether it just be overhead and profit, or we just don't agree with hours or with their scope or material costs. We look at every single one of them. You know, again, we're watching out for the budget for your wallet. Soft cost tracking, these are the costs that are not included in the general contractor's scope, like testing, commissioning, FF&E, and moving. You know, this is a team effort with the designer on some of the things, especially FF&E. You know, we got to follow mass procurement laws, and we also utilize the MS OSD state bid list wherever we can. And we're tracking those costs against the soft cost contingency line item. And then, you know, change order management. You know, I mentioned that we look at the reasons why a change order is needed, and it could be a number of things. It could be, you know, owner upgrade or a local inspector's requirements, latent unforeseen condition, you know, design issue, contractor claim, you know, a scope change. You know, we know that mistakes occur in any construction project, and we're trying to look at the bigger picture and the standard of care versus just one particular issue. You know, our goal is to resolve the issues as soon as possible and not let them linger to the end of the project.
Yeah, and those types of reports all feed into that budget status that we showed you earlier. Part of that monthly packet is you'll have the budget update, but it also show potential risks out there financially that get rolled up into that report. So you always understand, here's where the current budget is, and here's where the potential budget is based on risks that are out there financially, or exposures, you should say. Speaking about the end of the project, Bill alluded to kind of planning from day one. It's coordination of all those owner items, getting your equipment and systems in there, the FF&E technology communication. We take a leading role in that to help coordinate all that. It's typically not in the designer's contract for all of that, and it's not in the contractor's contract as well. So it really comes down to the owner, which can be a pretty onerous task if you haven't done it before. So our goal is to lead that and again, lead the way and make it as easy as possible. We hold those specific meetings throughout construction, really starting in early construction and really ramping up as we get probably about a year out from occupancy, to make sure everything's coordinated, from utilities being turned on to shelving in place to systems being up and trained on, as Bill talked about. We talked about that transition schedule, making sure the furniture's up and running, your IT folks are in there, you know, setting them up in the right sequence as well, and that the spaces are ready. A lot of times, you know, that's all great, but if the IDF and the MDF rooms for your servers and stuff aren't ready and conditioned and locked, you can't get it installed. So really pushing the contract to get things in place for the owner so that you can do the work you need to do from the ISWM department's perspective. And take that leadership role to ease that burden. I think we put a lot of effort into that to make it as easy as possible. Because again, at the end of the day, you need to hit the ground running day one when that facility opens. So finally, appreciate your time. Why us? I think you'll see a track record of public construction here in Massachusetts. This is all we do. We do it locally for some of your sort of neighboring towns, even working in town at the Mass Maritime. Very similar type projects, experience on this team, also working together. I'm currently working with both of these guys on projects. Been with Vertex for over 10 years, every one of us. Also experience working with a designer, working with Mr. Manchenko and his team. We understand how they go about what their process is, which is great. So I think we can hit the ground running from day one and get caught up to where everything is and keep it moving forward. And I think we're a right-sized firm. I think we bring the dedicated small team feel and mentality to your project, where you're going to get us at all the meetings that you need us to be in, while you still have a depth of resources if needed. Bill goes on vacation. I have 3 guys on the South Shore right now that can be here, so we don't miss a day on site with somebody. Or if something changes, we could bring somebody in. Or we can leverage someone that's working on a similar project in another part of the state and just say, hey, they're out ahead of you by a couple modules or whatever it might be. How did that work out? This issue came up. We need to make sure it doesn't happen here. So I think, again, it's a good mix, and then relentless about bettering outcomes. I mean, like I said, your reference is our only evaluation at the end of the day, and we want to be doing work for our clients for years to come. So along the way, we try to put as much process and tools in place to make the job as easy as possible, and at the end of the day, have an ultimate successful outcome for you. So with that, thank you for the time. We appreciate the chance to interview, and open for discussion. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Ken?
I'm curious about what percentage of your business is for private sector as opposed to municipal.
Private sector? Right now, probably less than 5%.
Less than 5%? Okay, so you're really in the municipal world.
Yeah, probably, I mean, to be honest with you, about 85% of our projects right now are with municipal cities and towns. We also do some work for some of the public colleges and institutions. We did work at UMass Dartmouth. We're doing a project right now up at UMass Lowell. We have done work for BU and some of the private institutions, but we do very little, if any, work with actual private customers.
And I understood, you do know that you've worked with this designer, you mentioned
Yep,
that.
yeah, we've worked with HK on 3 projects, correct?
Yeah, I did Hingham Municipal Light with them, with CTA. It was a few years ago, but it was a successful project.
And I did Medway DPW.
So you have some experience not only with them, but also sort of managing this team without alienating everybody in the.
Yeah, we do
Yes.
have, I mean, again, at the end of the day, this
know.
this is a people business at the end of the day. I mean, really, you're project management, but it becomes people management, how you manage the team and how you understand, the pushes and pulls and levers that you can get to make sure people, are delivering and be held accountable, including us. So yeah, I think we totally understand the dynamic.
Yeah, we know Greg.
Great. Notice a lot of public safety projects and DPW projects. Could you discuss a project that most closely resembles this project that you've worked on?
The initial phase of this project, the office building and the garage space, I mean, Norwood DPW was a 70,000 square foot facility with 10,000 square foot of office space, 35,000 vehicle storage, 2 maintenance bays, wash bay, had 2 satellite locations, 15,000 square foot vehicle storage, and it had a renovation of a 3-bay garage for their water department. So that was probably the biggest one. That also included temporary facilities for the entire fleet during the project. And Medway DPW was very similar. That was about 40,000 with vehicle storage, maintenance bays, a wash bay, and then multiple buildings on the site for canopy storage and material and salt storage.
Yeah, Hingham was 25,000 square
Yep.
feet. It was their administration office and their maintenance bay, and they had been previously in 2 separate buildings, one that they were leasing. We built the building, they were able to consolidate everything on a piece of once federally owned property in Hingham. And with the municipal light, we had pole storage and a wash bay and again a drive-through a vehicle garage. So it's comparable to what you're proposing now.
From an OPM standpoint, any challenges on any of those projects?
Yeah, I mean, Medway, there was a challenge with the site work as far as, what was bottom of excavation and what was owned, what was not. So that was kind of a, thought we had the spec the way we needed to have the spec, and I think that was probably the biggest issue that we had to get through. But at the end of the day, we resolved it at relatively minimal change order, which was great. Those challenges always have, and then Norwood DPW actually, a lot of challenge because it was a tight site. So it was an existing facility, basically 0 lot line. The back of the vehicle storage garage was the toe of slope for an MBTA track, so we had to get permits with MBTA. It was a former tannery, so all of the soil was hot. We had 7, 8 stockpiles of soil we could not move around the site. So that was extremely difficult in sequencing that and making sure that we remained on schedule. Again, there was nowhere to go on that site if something happened, so it really had to be carefully managed and planned out.
And similar to your operation, and it's not a DPW facility, but the Norwood Fire Station, they only have 1 fire station. They had to keep the main fire station operational. We built literally, the closest point was 10 feet from the existing fire station. Able to get that project done. They did not have any response time issues. Contractor was good, the designer, the whole team was good, which is part of that collaboration. And as a matter of fact, we just had the ribbon cutting for the station this past weekend. But that, there wasn't a glitch in that phasing and that maintaining the operation.
Yeah, I think one of the things we do, and just to add on to that, one of the things we also do kind of internally is like the issues log that we're having on projects is something that we talk about on a regular basis at our staffing meetings, at our project executive meetings, as far as what are the issues that we're seeing. Like right now, you're seeing a lot of issues with bid protests, because there's not as many jobs coming out. They're getting very detailed in bid protests, especially around paragraph E and the electrical subtrades. And they're coming from every different angle, so it's interesting how they're approaching that. So that can throw a wrench in your project schedule like that when you think you have everything captured. So we've seen 3 or 4 of those on recent projects that are just, totally out of left field, so to speak, but you have to deal with it, you have to address it. So those are the types of things that, hey, when we start talking about a bid package and specifications for this job, have we addressed these 3 or 4 variables that just came out in the last, basically last quarter? So again, trying to bring all those issues that we've seen on projects to this project.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little more on your in-house technical support? So when you do document review, is everybody participating in that, or are you only pulling them in when you think there's an issue?
Well, we have
yeah.
certain people that, have a little bit more expertise in one portion of it, because for one person to sit down and try and go through a full set of documents, that's a lot of time, and if you have expertise, as a matter of fact, we have one gentleman that retired recently, that we bring him in, does the MEPFP. We have him do that on an hourly basis, and, he lived that for years, and worked for us previously. I'll tackle the site, someone will tackle the architectural, and then, we certainly look at the technical specs, and like I said, the front end gets a lot of scrutiny also, because, constructability review is, can you build it? But there's also that portion of the project is, how is it gonna proceed? Are they gonna be, just say if a contractors are pretty savvy, they know where they can potentially get a change order if there's something not necessarily written correctly or is omitted. And we try and reduce that as much as possible.
Yeah, and again, internally with some of those technical resources, so we have the building envelope consultants that could come and take a look at all the building envelope details if needed. If we have a question and say, hey, this doesn't look quite right, is this the right detail? That's something they can lend a set of eyes to. Sustainability and architectural, we got registered architects on our staff that are senior PMs for us as well, that can take a look at a detail. We're up to speed on all the current codes. And again, we can bring in like LKB as civil engineering when we get to that point, as far as looking at what might be included with the transfer station. So in addition to this team understanding what should be in the project, because we're also looking at it from your equipment perspective, from your FF&E, part of the drawing review is also making sure that your team is reviewing it to say, yep, that's what we asked for, that makes sense, or it doesn't make sense, because that lost in translation of, the architect thinks they've captured something, but that's not quite what your mechanic wants. Are we sure? Have we done that final drawing review with the owner? We've walked it, walked through the plans, if you will.
Do the page turn.
That's what and that's part of the schedule too, is trying to hold that schedule with, I know we want to go out to bid on whatever day we want to go out to bid, but that doesn't mean that we should be getting those documents the night before to go out to bid. We need the documents a couple weeks before to make sure all that stuff's in there. And that's sometimes very difficult to hold that line, and you really need to fight for that.
Right, and then with your cost estimating, so like on our project, what do you expect to do for cost estimating?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
You've got a consultant for
Yep.
the cost
Yeah.
estimating.
Yep.
What do you,
So
what are you
what-
envisioning happening at what stages and?
Well, and I think I mentioned, we generally like to do it at DD and then CD 60, maybe CD 90. I know you're coming right up on a DD estimate now, so that timing may not work. But putting that aside, generally speaking, we like to do it at those points in time. When the package comes out to the designer's estimator, we get that link, we send it to our estimator, so they're estimating it independently, and then we it's usually about 2-week time frame, maybe 3, depending on the size of the project. And we get together after that, and we have, sometimes a 3-hour, sometimes a 7-hour reconciliation meeting online, and they go through every line item to make sure that they're never gonna be exactly the same, but making sure that one estimator hasn't missed something the other estimator had, and vice versa, to get to, basically checking the box that
Yeah.
it's a decent estimate.
Yeah, and I mean, the designer's estimate there is always gonna be the estimate of record, but our
Yes.
goal is to make sure that what they are saying is correct. We don't wanna get to bid day and then have to go back to get more funds, like that happens on a lot of projects where, and then you have that bid day strategy of like, we understand this is where your construction's gonna be, here's what we can make particular alternates, if we get them, great. But we understand that you're able to go to put a shovel in the ground the day the bids come in because we have a plan for that. So that reconciliation is a great process of going through the project and understanding, well, what do you see? How come you're carrying that quantity? Hey, is there a chance to potentially get a more cost-effective solution or material here? Is there something that could easily break out into a nice, neat package as an alternate? It doesn't have multiple subs attached to it. It's something you can just say, hey, the site furnishings is an easy one. Like, there's 50 grand in site furnishings, put that as alternate 4. We got 50 grand to play with on bid day, perhaps. So, yeah, we try to do that as much as we can, probably 3 estimates on most projects. And we find that that's a really great exercise to go through with the design team. Usually the MEP engineers are all on there with like, hey, you seem to be missing this in your plumbing drawings. Oh yeah, we should have added that. Well, the designer's estimate didn't have that. If we don't do the reconciliation, there's a gap. So not only from a drawing, they review the drawing perspective, but also from the pricing perspective, making sure that as many eyes have seen that, vetted it, meshed it together, and we feel comfortable that the estimate being brought forward, that we're then updating the project budget with, is real.
Nick, thank you.
Yep.
How soon can you start?
Legitimately, I mean, you guys, and I think you're heading up to a town meeting, and
Yeah, that's where I'm
Yep.
yeah.
So again, this team is based on availability. So Steve, in my perspective, we could start as soon as you're ready to go. We try to staff where we have availability and the right people aligned. People that are available that are not aligned for this project, that's not the right project for them. But yeah, we could start immediately, Bill, obviously, whenever we decide that we're gonna get to construction. And I think you would ask also about how we kind of do our fees. So it's a very transparent process. Once we kind of understand where your schedule is, what you think you need for services from here through bidding, getting us into construction, we actually map that all out in a bar chart schedule, show our staffing, show an average hourly commitment with what we think. Kind of comes into like a monthly commitment against our rates. So you actually see, yep, Steve's on the project for an average of 8 hours a week during design and 12 during construction. What does that spit out, for an hourly rate? And we can kind of go through all that. You see it all in front of you. It's very transparent.
That was one of the questions I had. How is your fee structured? So obviously we're part of the way through this process already. How long do you think it would take to kind of get on board and assess where we're at? And,
I mean, I think it's a couple weeks. I mean, it's having a couple meetings with to make sure you have all the parties at the table. I think it's that initial gap analysis, like what's been done, what's in the drawings, what's not in the drawings. Is your IT person on board? Do you need an equipment vendor that might not be in the contractor's scope? Have we gotten proposals from them? What are lead times on some of these things? I know we want to open this facility, and I don't know what's been promised for a construction schedule. We can get this done in 9 months or whatever it is, but how quickly can we get switchgear? We kind of need to put all that together.
Yeah, we know,
Yep.
we've been putting in our projects, as part of the project schedule, 1 to 2 months of what we're calling a procurement period. The contractor isn't mobilizing to the site, that way we're not incurring general conditions from them
Yep.
as part of their bid. It's just for them to get their switchgear, generator, air handling unit submittals in, approved by the engineer, back to their subcontractors to release
An order,
the
yeah.
order. Because that's a long process in itself, even if it gets approved the first time. So, I think that, the days of a 9 to 12-month construction project are long gone. Can the work in the field be less? Yes, but we need to get, you can't have a 12-month construction project when your generator or your switchgear is gonna take 13 months to get there. You're just setting up the contractor to fail.
Yeah, and you guys have some advantages, obviously, with the site prep you've already done, which is
Yeah.
huge, so kind of mitigating schedule, mitigating that risk. But it really comes down to what are we talking about for long lead items, how quickly we can put that together in the schedule. The other thing, too, is understanding when we want to go for bid, talking about pre-qualification for your contractors and your subs, getting that process started as soon as possible, because it is taking a little bit longer given the volume that you're going to see, making sure that we're really prepared with those bid documents to avoid some of these protests that are coming up. So that's a couple 6-week, 8-week process to get that fully vetted, that we have a pool of contractors to play with. We also feel that the front end is done. We've done a final review to make sure everything's together, and then you hit the street when you think you're ready.
And we know the RFQ did go out for pre-qualification, but you've extended a couple times. Yeah, so they haven't submitted anything to you yet, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a team that actually heads that up internally, so we have a team that basically all they do is pre-qualification, so they're up to speed on all of that. It helps supplement the manpower as well. It's tough going through all those reference checks and, really vetting that out, and again, it's become very, very detailed as, the work has slowed down a little bit given the economy, so.
Yeah, we take the heavy lift on that. I mean, obviously, there's a way you do it with, you know, designer and you, and then, you know, the two of you and one of us, but our team sort of does most of the work on that.
Yeah, a lot of sweat equity there.
Have you guys been involved in any of the solid waste permitting end of any of the transfer station stuff or any other solid waste facilities?
No,
ATC?
we've not been, Helen has, yes. I don't know the status of that. I mean, I would assume that a lot of that permitting is, at least from the site perspective, is in place already, but from the state regs,
well-
on the building, you still have to go through.
We're in the process of going through our site assignment, site suitability, site assignment
Okay, yep.
process.
Great.
So,
And I, to be honest,
Just
I've been
started.
watching some of your meetings and stuff, and my understanding is that you got like an initial meeting with DOT?
yeah, yesterday, actually.
That's a big,
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
we've dealt with those permits before at the Norfolk County Agriculture with state road permits. It was just a nightmare trying to get that,
Yeah.
keeping it on schedule. And then from a permitting perspective, I mean, all the jobs that we take a pretty active role in permitting, really pushing to make sure that the design team is providing what you need.
Yeah.
My Natick Kennedy Middle School program, I mean, we were Mass DEP, Army Corps of Engineers, you know, wetland replication, all the stuff that goes with it. So, I mean, a permitting matrix that was this long. So it's just getting up to speed and making sure that we're getting it, you know, implemented and scheduled correctly.
Ken, I'm going to steal your question from the last one.
I've had it.
Have you guys been in the position before where you're coming in behind another OPM?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we have. So our Milton Fire Station projects, took those over about 3 years ago, 3 fire station projects. Our Dedham Public Safety, which we had not pursued originally, came in after an OPM. And then we just recently were awarded another one too. It's happening more frequently than you think. We've never been removed from a project, so we like to say that we, you know, bring a pretty good level of service. And from my perspective as managing director, not only am I going to be involved in the project, but I mean, I was employee number 2 when we started. So you call me and the buck stops with me with what you need on this project.
Anybody have anything else? No? All right. Well, we are going to discuss interviews. We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thanks
much.
so much.
Appreciate
Sounds like
the
an exciting
opportunity.
project either way, so
Yeah,
best of luck with everything. And if you think of something else, you know, give us a shout. We'll try to answer it.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much.
very much, guys.
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah, thanks very much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yep, you too. Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Yeah, thank you.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Good work, good work.
Thanks, sir. Great questions, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Good luck with everything. Thanks so much. Appreciate the opportunity. Good luck. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Oh, they were such great questions.
Who wants to start?
Great questions.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Get 2, I think, pretty strong firms there.
Yeah.
They both have pretty similar backgrounds. Asking Ken's question, they've never been removed from a project is huge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I like the fact they have Bourne ties.
They have, yeah, Bourne, yeah, yep.
Guess we didn't ask that of the first firm, whether they'd ever been removed from a project.
No.
You know, that, I mean, you know, one of them's a really big firm, obviously, and one of them's a sort of smaller firm, and I don't know, I come from more of a small firm background, and I kind of like the attention you get from that, but.
Small firm with positive experiences in town here.
Right, right, but I also know that that's a sort of irrational bias, because these guys have a small group, subgroup amongst our large firm, and there is some argument that they have more backup if they need it.
And they only do OPM.
Yeah, I got the impression both of them only, is
I
that,
wasn't
is that
sure that
right?
was actually
Both of these
correct.
firms are only OPM. They don't do any
95+%,
contracting.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And most of them are 95% municipal.
Vertex as a company has other divisions.
Right, they do
I
co-
use them for environmental, they do all my asbestos
I
work.
see. So they,
So they're, they have different branches.
but these guys, this division was
No,
all
that's like
OPM
a
work.
sub, they're like a sub-office.
Yeah.
Have you used Vertex as an OPM in the past?
No, but I know two people who work for them that are like, project managers. Two people that I worked, probably over 10 years with that left and went there.
Oh, yeah.
They also acquired Compass, which was a spin-off from Bonafide Construction, which was a big construction company. So they grabbed a lot of those people. So, I mean, both of them were exactly what I kind of expected. These guys, I think, were great answering questions, and I thought their presentation was pretty good, and that's typical of a large firm. They operate like a machine. They got everything's built.
That's one thing I noticed, is they definitely felt more like, like structured in there,
It's a
Pomeroy was a
machine.
little
They-
more like,
Large companies,
Yeah.
they have,
Yeah.
they have meetings to rehearse this, like even not for us, but.
Right.
The fact that Steve Kirby was tuning into some of your meetings already.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Yeah,
great.
that was interesting.
That's buy-in before he's even hired.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. He knew that.
I didn't want to ask, but was he part of one of our other interviews? He looks incredibly familiar in the name sound.
Recognize him.
It's probably
The same
the
thing
two
from Pomeroy, the older gentleman. I swear I've ran into him before,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
couldn't he looked so familiar and he seems familiar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I like
What do we do?
Pomeroy too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know, I was kind of hoping I'd like one and not the other. What, given your issues with the last OPM, what's your sense of, do you have any red flags with either of these guys
Either
about
one
that
of them.
stuff?
No, I mean, I like Pomeroy because I know of other people that have used him that have, good success with him. He's got a good track record in town.
Uh-huh.
Giving everything else being equal, I tend to sway towards
That's
him.
worth a lot. On the other hand, these second guys have worked with our designer.
They what? They
Second
have,
guys
yeah.
have worked with our designer, and Pomeroy hasn't. I don't know if that's an issue or not, I mean, it seems to me that the OPM, the art of that job is to be able to work with all these other people and keep
Well,
them on track and
Yeah,
not
it's
piss them
you have
off.
to be the pusher. You gotta push.
Right.
Your
And-
site representative's lives in town, is what I understand.
Yeah, like I
I don't
said,
know
just
if it
over
was
the
in
bridge, he
town.
said.
It's
He
over
said,
the bridge, so it could be Plymouth or something.
yeah, the one who was running
Yeah, I mean, also, that's the other thing is, do we like this guy or this guy? Because they're the two guys who are going to be on
Yeah.
site.
Yeah.
And
They're
there's
the
all-
ones.
you
who
know,
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put a lot of weight into that because people change.
Yeah.
Projects this long, it's bound to happen. We're
I
not gonna
see.
end up with someone for the long term. So, I mean, I came into this thinking it was gonna be, Pomeroy. I was impressed with Vertex, but, I'm torn.
Why
I
did
actually
you-
don't
why-
think we
Why
could-
did you think it would be Pomeroy?
I just thought that these guys were gonna be too big and kind of too, okay, they're not really into us, but
Right.
they, like Nolan said, the guy did some research,
Yeah.
Again, their response to our questions were pretty good. They never really, they got in depth in them.
Yeah.
It wasn't just sort of a quick answer.
Aside from town projects, sir, have you done any reference checks on either?
I haven't, no.
They both have pretty extensive resumes, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're both busy. I can't imagine they're not good references, but I don't know. I don't think we can go wrong either way myself.
I would agree.
Me too, unfortunately, that doesn't help.
Peter or Catherine weren't on call?
No, Catherine couldn't make
Peter
it.
looked like he was on, then he
Oh,
disappeared.
Peter was on?
Looked like for a little
Really? You
bit, but
think
then
so?
he was gone.
Oh, I didn't see him.
Thought I saw him there. You almost wish you could, get the fee aspect and do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
start weighing in the fees.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming, they didn't actually get around to it, but I'm assuming they end up with a fixed fee as well.
Yeah,
They all do, right?
they all do.
Yeah.
That's how you have to do it. It's just the way the state makes you do this.
So it's kind of interesting that we're essentially gonna pick a firm before we know,
It's
between the
it's
two
the
firms
state
without
laws.
knowing
That's
who's
how
gonna-
they do this. It's crazy.
so we are literally not gonna know whether we're.
Well, you don't
picking
have
one.
to agree, like, if we get there,
Right,
we said we want to do business with you, we
Right.
get there, doesn't mean you gotta then select
Right,
it. We
but-
could say, well, wait a minute, that's
right,
crazy.
but then we have to go to the other firm and say, what's your fee?
Right, but you
A
can't,
little awkward.
I don't think you can play both each other. I think you have to say, okay, we're not gonna go with you, and then go to the next one.
That was my understanding, yeah.
Interesting.
When I asked about comparable projects, do any of those projects they mentioned, are you familiar with those at all?
I'm familiar with Dennis. You know, it didn't sound like they were too involved in the transfer station. It did sound like they were involved more in like the residential recycling center. Chatham, I think Pomeroy said he was starting. And Vertex just sort of brushed over the solid waste portion of that. He did say he was involved in one of the solid waste
Do we-
projects. I just don't-
Neither of
Need
these
that
two.
though, with you guys? I mean, aren't you guys that?
What's that?
The solid waste part, is there a lot of weight for them to pick up on that, or?
No, I mean,
guys
it's a
gonna
nice
have
thing
that
to
under
understand like the permitting process and, you know, it's not complex, but there's a science to everything, right? You know, so it's,
Also, you know people. you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Neither one of these firms have done a lot of solid waste
No.
projects.
No, I don't know how many are out there.
Between you, Phil, and Dan, I mean, you guys are covering the permitting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what-
yeah, we are. I mean, so we're starting the site suitability and site assignment process, but there's still the ATC, ATO process, which has to get figured in there. You know, you need an authorization to construct, and then you need an authorization to operate. So that's before you can build it, we need to get through a process, and then, to operate it, there's a whole nother process. So, there's some involved
There's some
stuff there, yeah.
advantage to having people.
Operation and maintenance plans, things like that, and that's not to say we can't, bring Ray in, bring our engineer in to oversee some of that as well, but, it's nice to have a
I like Pomeroy has a lot of
package.
deep connections with their project work that they've done. Seems to be a large piece of their work.
Yeah.
I think personality-wise, they're a good fit for us. I think, they'll work well with the
Which
team.
ones? Which one?
I actually think it's a little bit advantage that they don't know Greg. They can.
I was gonna say that, yeah.
And, they've already got a Vertex already has a relationship with them.
Right.
And, I think that's one lesson learned from, our past experience. I think we actually thought experience was gonna be good, and I think it turned out to be bad
Interesting
because
perspective, yeah.
Greg is strong, and I think how he does certain things, and I just think, they just sat back and let him do stuff instead of doing what they were supposed to do.
What does, I mean, it's, yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Depends on the contractor we choose, right? I mean, if we hire one of these guys, or, do we then choose a contractor they've worked with or not?
Well,
Goes
that,
both
I
ways.
mean, I know some of the guys that follow Pomeroy, and they all say they're great people to work with. They're fair,
Yeah.
and,
Well, I think that's a pretty strong rec when if it's true, which apparently it is, that they have contractors
well,
who follow
you
them.
can, it's real easy to have projects where it's just constant,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's personalities.
Right.
It's nothing more than that. But successful projects are, everybody's working together, and they both said that.
Yeah.
The old, before OPMs were in, it used to be, state work was horrible. I mean, I used to do it. It was like, you run for your lives, because no matter how good your documents are, there's ways, they figure out ways to find stuff.
Right.
And that's why they put this in place, was, all right, we need like a referee.
Yeah.
We like Pomeroy's track record in town, obviously. That's gonna weigh in to some piece of it.
Yeah.
It's funny what Pomeroy said. He says, we need to communicate, sometimes we need to communicate with the naysayers. You know, and we don't really have that problem with this, you know, particular project, and hopefully we don't have that problem. But we've had that problem in the past, you know, and
Well,
it's like,
he had it at the fire
one thing I've learned
station.
from that guy, it's
They
how
had-
to do
yeah,
that.
the
you
We
know,
had
it's
it at the
like-
fire station, because
Yeah.
I was at a meeting, and there was a lot of people, you know, do we, money-wise, are we
Mhm.
spending this, what are we, and he, Richard was the one that responded to all that, and he had a good way of handling it.
Yeah, that's pretty important. You know, we're allowed to solicit opinions from the public here, right? Because there's some random guy in the back of the room there, I'm kind of wondering what he thought, you know? Random guy.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. I mean, I think they're two strong candidates. They really are. I'm a little bit familiar with Pomeroy, and to your point, Greg, all you ever hear about is he gets it done quietly, and is very successful. One thing that always gets me a little bit, and I think Asa will laugh when I say it, but Greg is a force to be reckoned with. And either one of those guys could probably, or that group, either one of those groups can handle it. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with. That's something to keep an eye on.
Huh.
He started off talking about something yesterday. I was thinking, whoa. But anyway.
But you don't have an opinion about which of these two firms would be better able to keep him
Yeah, I mean,
controlled?
it's tough. You know, sometimes with Greg, Asa handles him very well. You know, he knows how far he can push Asa and then stops. And I think Rick is probably going to be good at that as well. I mean, he's very soft-spoken, but he seems to get it done without causing a lot of heat and sparks. Greg, you can wear him down most of the time, but here you just simply say.
Yeah, and
I mean, he's good at what he does, and certainly I trust him, but, you know, every once in a while, you gotta remember whose house it is, you know, it's our house.
Right.
I think he might be a little more, I would say, afraid, but feel a little more challenged from Pomeroy than Vertex, because he knows them. Like, he's gonna already know, like, you know, what do I gotta do here?
What do you guys mean when Greg is hard to control? I think that's what you're saying. What do you mean by that? I don't have a relationship that way.
What I see from him a lot, he goes off in this tangent where it's like, where you going? Like, we're here. Like, he quickly will change the subject to bring up something, try to like, and it's like, not focus. Like, come back. This is where we're trying to focus.
Yeah, no, he often introduce a lot of new things. You're like, oh, you know, we should do this, we should do that, and it's sort of, he presents it a little bit as gospel sometimes, you know, and you know, I think that's
It
kind of.
doesn't give you a time to like digest it. and
Yes, exactly,
understand it.
right.
Because he already has,
Yeah.
obviously.
So we
Yeah, he
need
has
a
an opinion.
strong
He
Yeah, yeah.
wants
personality
his
to push
opinion to
back.
be yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well put.
Don't suppose Michael has an opinion he's allowed to offer?
I am not going to give any kind of opinion.
Just checking with the press here, you know?
There won't even be an op-ed in the paper.
Marlene, has she
wanna
commented
ask
all
who you're
on
referring to when you
her
refer to
experience
Greg
with
as
our
the-
Pomeroy?
Greg is the
She likes
designer.
working with Palmer.
What's his full name?
Last
I thought I got that too.
What's Greg's
I felt
first
that.
full name? The designer.
Yanchenko?
Yeah.
And his firm?
Good luck spelling that.
Yeah, you're on your own. Greg,
You're talking about HKA?
yeah.
Yeah, Greg Yanchenko, Helene Carl Architects.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I mean, just,
You're just gonna love hearing that or reading this. In the
Oh, God, I was thinking the same thing, yeah.
yeah. Okay, lock the door.
Greg's all about honesty, and he probably appreciated it as much as anybody. You know, he's just a very strong, you know, minded individual, and you know,
People that,
Not a
I know
knock.
a lot of people that have worked with them, and they'll say, you know, his drawings are good.
Yeah.
He's good during construction.
That's
They all
ultimately
just
what
say
you
the
want.
same thing, like, you know, he's little, you just gotta keep him on track.
yeah.
Well, listening to you guys, it sounds like you all have a slight preference for Pomeroy, not necessarily based on anything more than, you know, they're a small firm and they're familiar with the Cape and they've done some projects. And, you know, I mean, I hate to sound almost whimsical about it, but is there some reason why we want to go with Vertex over them?
I'm hearing the same thing you are, feeling the same thing about Pomeroy.
I think you're right. We can't, we're not going to make a mistake here
I don't
between the
think
two
so.
firms.
I
I
really
mean, we
don't.
wouldn't have said that about the first OPM, but, so you never know until you get into it, and none of us have any experience working with these guys, so. You know, we just have to take a,
I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any downfall of having them on fire station and a building. I don't, you know, I mean,
It's a different team.
yeah, which was good. That was good, Dave. That was
do
brought
we
up.
need?
They're obviously cautious about their workload, because I think that's where we got caught up last time. was workload.
Yeah,
I like
I
that part.
asked them outright when I
They didn't
saw them.
submit first time because of that.
Yeah.
I
That says a
like
lot.
that too. Do we need to check references on both of them? I mean, do we
We
feel
don't,
like?
we don't need
Do
to.
we feel like we should?
I feel like we've probably got, I mean, we could check references on Vertex, but for Pomeroy, I think we've got built-in references.
Yeah, I can't imagine we need to check references.
Okay.
Given the amount of work they do.
When do we want to take a vote or make a decision on this?
Somebody wants to make a motion?
This is like now.
Let's go.
Can I make a motion to take a vote?
You're gonna make a
Oh, we have
motion
to
to make a
vote on a
motion?
motion to take a vote? I think if we agree we're ready to make a decision, we can probably make it. Yeah. I mean, I know we decided we were going to interview these two firms. I mean, I was impressed enough with both of them. I don't really feel like we need to go back to the list and interview someone else.
Yeah, and I guess that's the only thing. How do we feel about these two against the other ones we passed up?
Yeah, well,
I did, just today, get a negative reference on one of the other ones,
As did I.
PMA.
oh, okay, well, that, easy to eliminate them.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, so. Just so happened to come up in conversation. I won't go any further than that, but, you know.
It was relevant, though.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I mean, I honestly feel more comfortable with these two firms than the first round we did,
Mhm.
and that's what happened with our first choice there.
Yeah, right.
yeah, this is not a
Yeah, I mean,
science.
it's somewhat, you know, they've had a chance to react better to our current position. So
Right.
obviously the presentations were stronger. But
Yeah, a little more pointed, you know, where we've done some work now.
I think we were a little more, you know, clued into what we were trying to find out.
Well, and they've figured out why the last OPM didn't work out. I mean, that's the minimum due diligence they both did.
Mhm.
So,
Now they know what doesn't work for the client.
right,
Right.
right.
It's
I
a
would
small
be-
world out there.
Yeah,
This is out on the street. There's
right.
a
Well,
lot
and
of
that
people-
one firm's never been taken off.
There's a lot of people
They're
that
gonna
know
protect
about
that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
right.
interesting.
Right. Well, I guess somebody wants to make a motion to, what would we do? We would be recommending to the select board.
Is it Marlene's decision or the select
Marlene signs
board's?
the contract. We would make the recommendation,
To the select board,
say Marlene and the select board
I see,
to enter into a contract with Pomeroy,
assuming we can agree on a price.
assuming the price proposal is acceptable.
That is
And
the
then I-
weirdest part of it.
Yeah, I don't know, I think last
I know,
time-
you've been hung up on that.
Oh, I just don't get it. How,
Didn't
you
we,
know,
in the last motion, then give a backup?
that is not
Buy
the
the
way.
car before you have the price.
I know, it's not the way it works
Just
in the
case
real world.
something
Yeah,
didn't work
no,
out.
okay, yeah, we
Sometimes
could
you
rank
just
them.
do
We
silly
had, I
things.
think I did rank them,
Yeah,
so we could just rank them one
just
and
in
two.
case, that way at least we don't have to have another vote.
Yeah.
Somebody's liable to
That
ask
makes
that
sense.
question if we
Yeah,
did
that's a good
something like
point.
that. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
I mean, will you, I assume you will have some basis for deciding whether their fee is reasonable or not. I mean, we know how much the last OPM was charging us.
There's state recommendations on the percent levels that they, you know, they should be in, which is crazy. I mean, the higher percentage that they would allow, you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's pretty nutty that it works this way.
We
in the
put out there
sector.
is, I think it was 4% of the project value, I think is what it was, you know.
That was our last OPMs?
That
He
was, I believe
he
that was the
higher
last.
than that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm shooting from the hip, but
I'm pretty sure he was higher than 4%.
Did we have good termination provisions? I guess I never really asked that.
did we what?
Good termination provisions? I assume we didn't have to pay him too much.
Yeah, at that town's discretion.
So we'll have the same
Yeah,
provisions. in the
there's
next-
no-
Okay,
For convenience, yeah.
all right.
We've come across that clause quite a bit.
What was that, random person?
For convenience.
For convenience.
You can terminate for
Yeah.
convenience.
Right, but the
Trouble
real,
with that in a
the
couple of
key isn't whether you can terminate, the key is how much you have to pay when you terminate. Right, that's the meat of the contract.
Negotiate though, I think.
And just for everybody, you know, well, just us here, but it's, we have not gotten an invoice from them yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, beyond the last invoice, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether we should be concerned about that or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something to keep in the back of your mind. We can discuss it at another time, but.
Yeah.
I think you can, can't you, Greg? You can negotiate. You don't have anything necessarily, you can't play them against each other. You pick one, then you negotiate. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, you pick one, but if it falls apart, you know, that's why I'm saying we can say, well, this is our number 2. For whatever reason, what if he's got 3 other interviews that he didn't tell us about, and he gets 2 of them, now he can't, by the time this wraps up, and see, that one's a bigger fee, I'm gonna go for that one, so.
Yeah, right.
I mean, things
Seems
like,
like you guys are hung up a little bit on the price as well, right? I mean, I think he throws whoever throws you a price, and you can negotiate.
yeah, that's Marlene's job, I mean, that's what she does.
I'm only hung up on the price because I don't know it. And typically, in my world, you know the price before you choose.
Well, I think I can remember years ago, everything being based upon the price, and it just wasn't working out. You get people lowballing and all sorts of, not knowing what to do
Well,
with it.
I mean,
So
if
I think this qualification process is better than it used to be, just a simply bidding. Otherwise, you didn't know what you were getting.
Yeah, there's a lot more transparency
Yeah,
to this
right,
process.
yeah. If you're just looking at the price, you have no idea what you're getting, because they could lowball, you know?
Yeah, you're trying to avoid that low bid scenario.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we would make the recommendation to the select board to have Marlene enter into a contract with an OPM with Pomeroy ranked as number 1 and Vertex ranked as number 2. Does that sound?
Sounds right.
All right, I'll make that motion.
You got that?
Wait a
Tom?
minute, okay, well, I don't write that fast.
Yeah.
We
We're
have
gonna,
a
we're gonna
motion.
recommend.
It's already been made.
We're going to recommend that the select board choose, hire,
To allow Marlene to enter into a contract, or to recommend that Marlene enter into a contract?
Negotiations for the contract.
Negotiations.
Yeah. Right. Move that Marlene be directed to negotiate on behalf
so
of the
did
town.
someone make that motion?
Greg made the
Greg did.
motion,
I'll second it.
Nolan seconded.
That's funny, I had guessed that, that's interesting.
Nolan, automatic second.
Nolan second. First, okay. Greg,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Nolan,
Yes.
and I am yes. Peter is not out there. You out there, Peter? I don't see him.
Random dude?
And Catherine, I know is not out there. So,
Okay.
motion to adjourn.
So move.
I will second that.
Greg,
Easier motion.
No, wait, what?
Tom.
Well, yes.
it was
but-
Ken made the motion and Nolan seconded.
He's-
Greg, Tom, Ken, Nolan, and I vote yes. All right. Thank you.